So we spent the first hour of today talking about forecasts, predictions for macroeconomics, for geopolitics, politics. My mandate today is to talk about property markets, but first, maybe a word about predictions. My team, I have a 30-person team globally, and forecasting is one of our core responsibilities, among others. Making a prediction is easy, but making a good prediction or a good forecast is very, very hard. So I know I'm not supposed to talk about politics, but I'll use an example from politics. One of the election forecasters that I think many of you have heard of, that I follow closely, is Nate Silver. So Nate Silver's model in the week after the Democratic convention showed that the probability of Harris getting elected fell substantially. The polls hadn't changed. In fact, maybe the polls had gone a little bit in her favor. And the reason why his expected probability of a Harris win declined, because that normally, historically, there's this idea of a convention bump. You have your convention, the polls go up. The polls didn't go up enough for his model to say that that was the normal convention bump. And in fact, so that suggested, according to that relationship, that actually she was doing worse. And this highlights the fact that models, that forecasts, rely heavily on the idea that the past is predictive of the future. But the problem is that that the rules of the road change, that the structural characteristics of what is going on also change, and so the models become more challenging. Going back to that example of the US election, this is a highly atypical election. We have not seen a major candidate drop out at this stage of the race, ever. We have not seen this kind of dynamic. I mean, we saw 2 nights ago the dogs and cats and all of that stuff. So we have to always, in our modeling and making our predictions, be sure to separate the cyclical and the structural and thinking about what is really going on. So I'm going to shift to applying that to property markets. What do we mean by the cyclical? These are things that are generally more mean reverting. They're more modelable. We're talking about economic growth, demand and supply, risk aversion in capital markets. These are more cyclical, and the structural are not mean reverting. They tend to play out over longer time frames.